Hey guys, welcome back to Chris and Retro. Tonight's video is going to be on focus. A lot of things going on in life recently that have, and seeing stories in other people's lives. I felt it was important for me to do a video tonight on focus. But I want to start out by a quick rest in peace to Chris, who was heavily involved in the recovery community in Rochester, New York, and passed from cancer yesterday. What's interesting, I didn't know he had cancer. He kept it quietly. I wasn't that close to him, but I knew of his work. And I recently was working literally right alongside him within the last 2 weeks, and he seemed healthy and active. And, right up to his last time here, he was working in the community. So I felt that was honorable. And having no real personal relationship with him, just sitting back and pausing by the fact that he was out there literally in the last few weeks of his life serving the community in a pretty significant way was pretty impressive to me and challenging for sure. And some of the things I get distracted by. And I think that leads itself into our conversation about focus tonight. Focus in recovery community and recovery and work, actually life in general, high performance really requires some level of focus that's above average. When you're trying to accomplish extraordinary things, you have to stay focused on the path. I've used the analogy in the past that if I take off from Rochester, New York, and I want to go see the Chicago Cubs play in Wrigley Field, and I want to go to Chicago and there's a storm coming, I'm going to eventually want to be on a plane that's going to land in Chicago because that's my focus, my destination. Now, there might be a storm, as I've had in the past, that has me land in Detroit, but it's just waiting for a while, and then we eventually get to Chicago. But the point is no matter what the storms are and the imperfect travel to whatever your focus is, you still got to stay focused on the goal because that's ultimately where what you want to accomplish and what you want to try to get done. In high performance, you hear this all the time. These high performing athletes or high performing business professionals, they're focused. They stay focused on their goals. They drive forward. They do extraordinary things. I mean, even look at, the Man in the Arena with Teddy Roosevelt and the things I've read on here before about that. And I've shared with my sales team a bunch of times is, it's the man that gets in the arena, that focus. I look at the presidential candidates too here, and please, I don't even want to get into this crap, about politics. So hear what I'm saying for what I'm saying. It's such a polarizing conversation that anytime you bring up either name on either side, people lose their mind, especially with Trump for some reason. But, focus has really benefited both of them in different ways. And so, Harris was largely hated. And by all accounts, prior to her run for president, but now all of a sudden has, through focus, changed that view and now has a strong support base for her. I would argue that they're more anti-Trump than support Harris, but in the end, she did the right thing by staying focused and really reframed how people see her. Now, Trump's focus is on another thing altogether. I mean, he was hated going in. He's been accused of a bunch of stuff. He's still hated. So his focus wasn't to not be hated. Harris's focus was to not be hated, and it worked. Trump's focus was to survive and stay focused on his objective to get elected president. So they both had focus that got him through. Harris had to go through the debate of people that were close to her, the people that actually knew her and had opinions about her, and the country's view of her lack of participation as a vice president. She's worked through that through use of the media and use of other tactics, but I think a lot of it's been manipulation in certain ways. But in the end, she's got a lot of following because she stayed focused. Trump, on the other hand, has been accused of a bunch of stuff. He's been charged with a bunch of things. He's been sued and lost. He's been shot at twice. What else? Bomb threats, manipulation of his position, whatever, but he still stays focused. He stays focused on becoming president. Both sides have used focus to get through these political times. But how much more important is this when it comes to our personal lives and how we manage our day-to-day, especially in recovery? A lot of the things I think that when we start losing focus, we allege that other people don't understand. And really, it's a way for us to exonerate ourselves of our own behavior, at least from what I've done in my own life. The longer you spend focused on the wrong things and not focused on the correct things. So that, again, it's not just that you're focused, it's what you're focused on. If you're focused on the wrong things, you can easily just stay in the mud of your current circumstance and never really accomplish the goals that you've set out for. When we lose focus, we rationalize, we manipulate situations, we justify our own behaviors, and we become victims of circumstance because we've lost focus on the fact of accepting the situation as it is and getting laser focused on what we don't want to be in our lives anymore. I'm very guilty of that. I start losing focus and I start getting angry, and then the circumstances around me start frustrating me, and I really lose sight of the tenacity that I should have behind the things that I want in life. So it's kind of like if I claim that God is my God, but yet I make my family all that I think about, then they've really become my God. It's the same thing with focus. If I say that I want this situation for my life and I want to accomplish certain things, let's say sobriety is one of my goals, or getting my career back, or all these things that I had for me, there's only a few places I can focus and be successful. And if I have these antagonistic focuses and one is spending a lot of energy for me to deal with, that's generally where my result is going to come from. All of this stuff that I'm saying is causing me these issues, or whatever it's got me wallowing, where things have a dynamic shift is when I really get back on and laser focus regardless of all these things. And they may all be true, but regardless of what's going on around me, what I'm going towards is what I really need to spend my energy and time thinking about, and plans and strategies and thoughts and energy and, education and course correction and behavior changes and, denial, denying myself, which is a big part of it for us in recovery, is we got to deny these tendencies that we have. Got some tips and some things that I think would help us stay focused. I found these tonight, and it really was just a random search, but I liked what I found. Hopefully this is something you find beneficial as well. Some tips to stay focused in terms of your day-to-day life. But, one is get enough sleep at night. Man, I can't tell you how much that really is problematic for me, because, with a house with kids and them, younger kids, and with a busy job and a lot going on in life, that evening time is nice where it's silent for me. And for example, right now it's 9:35, the house is quiet. Sky's had bed for school, and my youngest, this is past her bedtime, she's in bed, and this is the time of night when things are quiet here, so I get things done. And generally I'm not working too much this late at night, but sometimes I am. This is the time of night when I have quiet, so it can easily creep into later in the evening, and then I start losing sleep. So getting enough sleep is incredibly important, especially in recovery, especially in recovery, because you can lose focus so quick by having that exhaustion part of it. Reduce the distractions in your environment. So this is a prime example. A lot of times when we're first in our recovery journey, we've got a lot of chaos. There's a lot of things we have to deal with. I had court cases all over the place, family court, traffic court, criminal court, all kinds of crap going on. Criminal court in multiple locations, 2 city court cases and a bunch of county court cases. I mean, I was everywhere with all kinds of craziness and distractions. How do you get sober in that? Well, recognizing that all those things are going on, don't make the pile bigger. And my focus has to be getting through this mess, getting to where I want to be, and then building from that to a point of a life that I dream of. And but it takes laser focus to not look around and look at all the things going on around me, because as soon as I do that, now I'm not looking forward to what the storm I want to get through. I'm literally in the house that's burning down, standing up in the smoke, trying to get out of the house, complaining that I'm not getting out of the house. And I'm literally still standing in the smoke, looking at all the fire and saying, oh my God, who started this? I didn't start this. Well, it doesn't matter who started it. The house is burning down. Get out. Get out. That argument's not for today. That argument's a preventative conversation for yourself later, but not today. It's not the right focus. The focus is get out of the house, get yourself safe. Focus on one task at a time. They talk about, for a long time when I was, early on in my professional career, there was a lot of push on multitasking and how, people with a lot of quote unquote bandwidth, they were really valued as high potential employees. But honestly, it's great that you can do a lot of things and get them done, but nobody can really be excellent at many, many things. It's just not possible. There's a few things you can be absolutely extraordinary at if you stay focused. And so I'm not sure we go as far as focusing on one thing at a time, because a lot of times life can get very complicated. But I would say, keep your focus very lean towards an objective. So whatever it is that your primary objective is, have as few tasks as possible that you're focused on right now to get to that. And that might go back to just taking off bite-sized measurable chunks for today, some very small pieces out of it today for you to get to what that longer term goal is. But it's what you can do in this 24 hours to get that accomplished. Again, looking forward, looking at your objective, not all the smoldering fire, regardless of who caused it around you, even if you were the one that caused it and you don't want to own up to it. It doesn't really matter. That ownership isn't really part of the conversation. Stay focused on the objective. Try to get to where you want to get to. Don't worry about whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault. Try to be more present. And the next one is try to be more present in the moment. So I'm here looking backwards. I'm not going to find any hope. I'm not going to find any solutions there. But in this moment, I'm going to have some moves I can make. Okay. So if I'm going to write a note on a piece of paper, the first thing I probably want to do is pick up a pen. And then I want to find the paper, and then I want to write on the note. In this moment, I want to do that. Now, that note may accomplish some task that I want somebody else to deal for me tomorrow. But for now, in this moment, in the presence of this moment, I have things that I can do within this moment. And if I'm just thinking about all these other things I've got to do, I may just not take care of this note in this moment. Hope it doesn't oversimplify the point, but I think you know where I'm going with it. Practice mindfulness. Man, I can tell you how many, I can't tell you, I shouldn't say I can't tell you how many times I've heard about mindfulness, and I'm so terrible at it, but living in the moment as it is, living in terms of enjoying your circumstance for what it is in that moment, and the fact that the only reason the calamity of what you're dealing with many times is even present is because you're thinking about it and you're bringing it into the moment with your conversations rather than enjoying it. For example, the stress and the headaches of my day, I could have not enjoyed a popsicle with my 3-year-old tonight had I allowed all those other things to creep in my head. And I am notorious for allowing everything to creep in my head and letting it later and wear me out. And I do it all the time. But yet I robbed myself of a moment that didn't require any of those things to enjoy that moment. And it certainly didn't require me to address any of those things to have that moment exist. So I should have stayed in that moment and practiced mindfulness, because for one thing, it's rest. And secondly, it gives me a healthy outlet to recognize all is not lost. You know, give yourself short breaks to clear your mind. There's nobody in the world, I think, that can go pace at a high level all the time, every day, every minute of every day. I don't see how that's even possible. So give yourself short breaks. And maybe those short breaks just for a walk to the mailbox, walk down in the street, just a quick breath, whatever it is. Because think about it, inactive use, you're taking those breaks all the time with your substance of choice. So why not just give yourself 5 minutes to breathe? Then limit social media, except for Chris and Retro. Make sure you always keep Chris and Retro on. I'm just kidding. Limiting social media, very important. Social media is inundating us with information that we are being asked to process all the time. You want to not be mindful? Look at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff, and have that be the predominant focus of your day. Your focus looking at those things is going to keep you inundated with information that is entirely not objective based. Even if it's an educational site about something that you're looking for, because it's all instant gratification information, it may not help you with your focus routinely. Now, there might be moments where you could say, well, yeah, but I'm doing all these things and it's helping me. Okay, I'm not saying there's not places where that stuff can help you accomplish the objectives that you're focused on. For the subject matter at hand, I think that social media does more to derail focus than it does to assist with focus. So I thought that those points were good. Now, these are not points I brought up. These are generally just, there was no cited reference for it, or I would have put it on here. It's just a general Google search that came up with these things for focus. I bring it up because as conversations have come up, I mean, there are things that I've had to deal with my whole situation here with recovery, and actually in my career as well, is that like I'm interchanging two words, but they really are somewhat a pathway. So the reason that focus is so important is I have an objective that I want for my life. For me, I want to be a good father, a good spouse. I want to be a provider for my family. I want to be healthy. I want to do well at this show. I want to get the stinking book out after almost 4 years now. You know, I mean, I got all these things, and it's easy to get distracted with things that are all the same objective. A man that I would respect of me, behaving that way. So my objective is to become the man that I would like to be. And these are all things that get me to that place, and I can't do them all at once. So my focus is on my objective, and anything that I'm doing today that derails that is going to make sure that my focus loses sight of the objective. And I think that's the way we get through things. I've got friends, you know, in my life that struggle with this all the time. In fact, today I've talked to a couple of people that are struggling with it as well. The circumstances they find themselves in just seem so egregious to them, and in many cases are. They're too much, they're too heavy, they're overstated, they're things they shouldn't have to be involved in, but they're still there. It's just reality. And it's not enough to say, well, you know, pull out the big book and accept it, because life is as it is, you know, isn't always as you have it be. You know, acceptance works. It's something that we do have to work for, and it's something we have to understand. However, it's not the solution to focus always, because it's very hard to accept your circumstances oftentimes. And if I spend my entire day focused on trying to accept my circumstances as they are, what am I looking at? My circumstances. I'm not looking at my objective. It's just like this. If I want to not drink and I stare at that bottle and I'm going to try to not drink, and I'm just going to stare at that bottle, I'm not going to drink you, you can't beat me, and I'm popping off to an empty bottle or a full bottle, what's my focus? The bottle. If I'm trying to save my family and do everything I can to save my family, or if I'm trying to save my spouse, or I'm trying to, you know, do whatever I'm trying to do, the people are the focus and not the objective of putting the family that's stable and doing the good work that we believe we should be able to do. That's a personal example for me, but I think that that's an area where I think we get derailed with focus a lot of times because these well-meaning intentions we believe are the objective, and they're not. The objective is healing, hope, sobriety, stability, financial stability, physical stability, love, a family that raises children that don't have to go down the roads that we've gone down. That's our objective, and we need to stay focused on that and not what's happened to us based on our own choices or circumstances that may not even been our own choices. I have plenty of them in my life that some of the most painful things that I visualize in my life right now that I have a hard time still sleeping over have happened in the last year. And those painful things can't be my focus. My objective is still to heal. And understanding that I have this pain and focusing on that is not going to accomplish my objective. I have to address that. And the one thing I have to address is make it not be my focus. I'm not saying ignore it. And if there's something about that that has to be dealt with so that your behaviors change, all that other stuff, that's fine. That's objective driven behavior. But if I focus on the pain all the time and I keep obsessing over that pain, it's just another addiction. It's not forward moving success. Thank you for tuning in. These are a few things that were on my mind recently. I came across some solutions I thought would be useful. These are things I'm going to definitely try to practice more frequently relative to staying online. The big one for me is the social media. I get really, really easily wrapped up in social media all day long. It's so easy to do. We just take these little nibbles all day long, but what does it do? It puts thoughts and things in our head that are completely derailing us from what we want to accomplish. So whoever made fart videos probably created my biggest distraction in the whole world. But anyway, everybody should, farts are funny. I don't care what anybody has to say. But guys, I really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Try some of those things. If you can do a screenshot of this on your phone and just have those focus points and see if that's something that can help you through, and hopefully it helps you. I'm going to try them and see what I can do to stay focused on the objectives I have more so than I have in a long time. Thanks again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Add your comments. If you've got other tips about focus that have worked for you, please add them in so the viewers have a chance to take a look as well. We're a community. We're here to help each other. It's not me preaching at you, and we're not here to have arguments over politics or anything else. We're here to help each other as fellow travelers. This is a community. I'm super thankful you're here. Between now and the next time we talk, I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to stay out of trouble. I'm doing it by doing this video, and I hope you do too.